এরপরে আমি ডেকে নিচ্ছি অনুরাগ আর আলেখ্যকে। ওদের কিছু যৌথ আয়োজন আছে।
I'm just reading an extract from Tagore's The Surplus in Man. Freedom of view and freedom of action have been accompanied by an analogous mental freedom in man through his imagination, which is the most distinctly human of all our faculties. It is there to help a creature who has been left unfinished by his designer, unwrapped, undecorated, unarmored, and without weapons. And what is worse, ridden by a man whose energies, for the most part, are not tamed and tempered into some difficult ideal of completeness upon a background which is bare. Like all artists, he has the freedom to make mistakes, to launch into desperate adventures, contradicting and torturing his psychology or psychological normality. This freedom is a divine gift lent to the mortals who are untutored and undisciplined, and therefore the path of their creative progress is strewn with debris of devastation and stages of their perfection haunted by apparitions of startling deformities. But all the same, the very training of creation ever makes clear an aim which cannot be any isolated freak of an individual mind or in that which is only limited to the strictly necessary. Just as our eyesight enables us to include the individual fact of ourselves in the surrounding view, our imagination makes us intensely conscious of a life we must live which transcends the individual life and contradicts the biological meaning of the instinct of self-preservation. It works at the surplus and extending beyond the reservation plots of our daily life, builds there the guest chambers of priceless value to offer hospitality to the world spirit of man. We have such an honored right to be the host when our spirit is a free spirit, not chained to the animal self. For free spirit is godly and alone can claim kinship with God. Every true freedom that we may attain in any direction broadens our path of self-realization, which is in superseding the self. The unimaginative repetition of life within a safe restriction imposed by nature may be good for the animal, but never for man, which has the responsibility to outlive his life in order to live in truth. And freedom in its process of creation gives rise to perpetual suggestions of something further than its obvious purpose. For freedom is for expressing the infinite. It imposes limits in its works, not to keep them in permanence, but to break them over and over again, and to reveal the endless in unending surprises. This implies a history of constant regeneration, a series of fresh beginnings and continual challenges to the world in order to reach a more and more perfect harmony with some fundamental idea of truth. Our civilization, in the constant struggle for a great further, runs through abrupt chapters of spasmodic divergences. It nearly always begins its new ventures with a cataclysm, for its changes are not merely seasonal changes of ideas gliding through varied periods of flowers and fruits. Their surprises, lying in ambuscade, provoking revolutionary adjustments, they are changes in the dynasty of living ideals, the ideals that are active in consolidating their dominion with strongholds of physical and mental habits, of symbols, ceremonials, and adornments. But however violent may be the revolutions happening in whatever time or country, They never completely detach themselves from a common center. They find their places in a history which is one. The civilizations evolved in India or China, Persia or Judea, Greece or Rome are like several mountain peaks having different altitude, temperature, flora or fauna, and yet belonging to the same chain of hills. There are no absolute barriers of communication between them. Their foundation is the same, and they affect the meteorology of an atmosphere which is common to us all. This is at the root of the meaning of the great teacher who said he would not seek his own salvation if all men were not saved, for we all belong to a divine unity from which our great souled man have their direct inspiration. They feel it immediately in their own personality and they proclaim in their life, I am one with the Supreme, with the deathless, with the perfect.
আহ্বান প্রচারিত শুনি তব উদার বাণী হিন্দু বৌদ্ধ শিখ জৈন পারসিক মুসলমান খ্রিস্টানি পূরব পশ্চিম আসে তব সিংহাসন পাশে প্রেম হার হয় গাথা জনগণ ঐক্য বিধায়ক জয় হে ভারত ভাগ্য বিধাতা জয় হে জয় হে জয় হে জয় 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 জয়